Hey guys, how's it going? DUJ2 here, and welcome back to Fortnite Save the World. And welcome to, welcome to a chat that I should have had a while back, the Save the World design chat and the meta shift. So at the moment of me making this video, I know that actually this came out, this came out over a week ago actually. Yeah, this came out on December 19th. That's almost 10 days ago. But as a lot of you guys know, I've been completely out of commission. I haven't streamed in about that much time. I barely put out any videos over that time. A bunch of personal issues, health things as well. So thank you very much for all of the support, all of the emails and messages and all the concern you guys have. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, for all of that. If you guys want to hear a little bit more about my plans for the near future, streaming my channel a lot, stick around to the end for me to talk about when I do the news and announcements and all that I do at the end of most of my videos. But right now, I want to talk about this, and this video is gonna be a little it's gonna be kind of like the introduction to this, because I have several videos that I want to make talking not only about the meta shifts that we are experiencing right now, but what I think is going on and will go on with Save the World in the near future. Not only with the things that we are seeing right now in version 11 or season 11 or chapter 2 season 1, whatever you want to call it. I've just gone back to calling it version 11 now, and things we're going to see in version 12 that's going to be coming out in February, I believe it's going to be. Right now, Save the World is on sale, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too. We're also going to talk about right now, because I'm making this video right now, we're going to be talking about what's currently happening in version 11.30. Right now we're in content update number 1, kind of what's going to be happening in the next 3 weeks, which we have just content updates. And as far as we know, we're not going to be having any major updates, any major patch updates, but we might in the near future, as well as what's happening right now in the game. The different storylines and quest lines that we're having for Save the World, the fact that dungeons might be going away, actually. We're going to talk about that too. But like I said, right now we're going to start with talking about this, the design chat, the meta shift, what I kind of think is going on here. And like I said, in the near future, in the next few days, you guys are going to see other videos where I'm going to kind of go a little more in depth about it, including comparing the Trello board, because you guys know I really do enjoy looking at the Trello board, because there we can actually see what is actually going on with the development team and what they're working on, and more importantly, what they're not working on. So for those of you who don't know, this came out, like I said, over a week ago now, and it says by the Fortnite team, it's the Save the World design chat and meta shift. Now, for those of you who might be confused, a meta is kind of like the norm, like what everyone does. For example, when you say the meta, the current meta of the game is like what everyone's using. What everyone agrees is probably the most effective way of playing the game. Now, I kind of have never really gone by that. You guys know that if you watch me for a while, you watch my videos for a while, you know that I'm not a fan of trap tunnels. I'm not a fan of using a lot of different traps. The way I use traps is very different than most people do. The way I use heroes, the way I play the game is very different in many aspects. So for me personally, a lot of these changes haven't really come to change as much as other changes have in the past. Although I will say some of these changes are going to affect me a little bit. Anyway, hey everyone, we're here with some further discussion of some of the balance changes that were made in version 11.30 update, along with our thoughts behind them. We've been closely monitoring the feedback since the release, and we're happy to inform you that our next update will address some of your concerns. And I'm sorry guys, I'm still a little, I'm not 100% yet. One of our primary goals was to shift the meta so that trap tunnels remain important and do the bulk of the work, but require active player participation to keep them intact and functional. Ultimately, we want to make active gameplay more engaging and fulfilling than passive gameplay, which is why we are introducing these early iterations of a meta shift. Ability damage and health shield buffs are also a step forward towards that, but we still got some work to do. So for those of you who don't know, for example, certain traps, as we're going to see here in a second, they no longer affect enemies the same way they used to. We have all seen that smashers now are incredibly powerful and will just power through everything, unless, and here's a tip guys, if you ever really want to stop a smasher, drop a tar pit trap. Tar pit traps, and I think they're still going to work that way, but tar pit traps completely stop dead in their tracks anything. It doesn't matter if it's a smasher, well, I guess not a taker, because takers aren't on the ground, but anything that is running towards you, you can stop it, even a rampaging smasher, with a tar pit trap, which is something that I enjoy doing. And again, the way that I build things is completely different than most people. So you guys may want to go and look for my video when I did the broadsides. I enjoy doing like trap fields and corridors without a ceiling. So for me, trap tunnels have never really been that much fun, because for me personally, I always mess them up and the propane tank goes off and destroys him, or I just can't see what's going on and I have really bad map awareness. If you've ever watched me, you know that. But anyway, gas traps and floor launchers. We saw gas trap used that allow affliction to stack and reach damage levels far beyond other traps. We changed the gas trap to no longer deal guaranteed full value through affliction, but deal massive damage to an enemy that is trapped in its radius. Gas traps also receive an overall 15% damage increase per tick and now mitigate B clouds. There are still a few updates we need to make to the gas trap, such as effective duration perk not working properly. Now, for what I would recommend with gas traps is, if you're going to use gas traps, use them as kind of like think of it this way. Think of it like a metal detector, okay? Or if you've ever traveled in America and most countries, TSA and security like that. Think of it as you're going to go make it so that the gas trap will add some damage, will take out some bees, and not let them pass. Use it like that, but not as we used to use gas traps. I personally never use them. I don't even have a gas trap that's leveled up. But a lot of people used to use them as a definitive killer. Like, you put down several gas traps, not only does the affliction stack, but also by the time that an enemy goes through 2 or 3 stages, they will, effectively be gone, no matter how powerful they were. But with this, gas trap damage no longer stays onto them. But like I said, something that I've been doing lately is I will set up little I'll set up little I'm calling them metal detectors, because that's what they look like, with a gas trap. When some people gave me some gas traps, a gas trap, broadside, gas trap, what's the one that has the music, the wall that has the one that has the music, and a tar pit trap. It's been incredibly effective. They've been incredibly effective to not only stop dead in their tracks the enemies, keep them there, and remove any propanes and stuff like that. So for me personally, it's been a really good way of kind of like just metal detecting and making enemies drop and keep going. But I'll show it in the future what I've been doing. It's been actually kind of fun just setting up these weird little traps to kind of like push back enemies. It's been fun. We're also happy. We're also unhappy with the overall state of floor launchers and how they were used to deal percent-based damage to husks that resulted in floor launcher spam in-game modes with high power level scaling, like Frost Knight Endurance, where floor launchers overperformed compared to other traps. To this one, I have to say that's what a floor launcher does. A floor launcher, I don't really think it should be about damage, but it should most definitely be about buying you time. If you're going to put down a floor launcher, it's because you want to launch enemies. And if you're going to put a ramp over it, it's because you want to take them back. Push them back to give you more time to be able to take them out. I see nothing wrong with that, and I really don't see nothing wrong with putting a lot of impact in the floor launcher and launching enemies very high in the sky, again, to buy you time. I can understand how and why a lot of spam would be, important or would be a little bit too much, but then again, this is the nature of the game. The nature of this game is not to, and let me be clear by saying this. I love doing most of the work or the damage just with heroes and not really using that many traps, but this game should be based on the intelligent use of traps and builds and such to be able to defeat the missions. And if you can find ways of defeating missions very easily through those, then great, that's awesome. And if that in some way reduces the effectiveness of the game, or the developers think, hey, that's not how you're supposed to play the game, well, change it like they are now. So in a way, I'm kind of like, all right, I get it, but I have to say, the way that the game is kind of progressing, I would hope to see not only a shift in how we quantify our damage. For example, definitely we need a power increase. We need more gadgets. We need different traps. We need more. We need a larger variety of how to be able to complete and accomplish these missions. And I'm all for us as heroes, as commanders, doing more damage, but I wouldn't mind seeing missions where we can have 6, 8, 12, 16 people in a mission. I think that would be quite enjoyable, actually. All right, so propane tanks. Previously, damage to trap tunnels would be caused by stray shots and other player errors that detonate the pile of propane tanks on the floor. Right here, me. This is something that I would constantly do. 1 second. Sorry. My microphone was a little low there. Exploders no longer drop propanes and now actively attack the tunnels, so you'll need to react to counter them. Oh, they no longer drop propane tanks. Wait. So even if you have if they dance, they don't drop them? Can someone let me know if that's... I don't know. Exploders will also self-destruct when below half HP if damaged by a trap, so they are still a threat to trap tunnels. Overall, we want husks to have additional tools that are effective against tunnels, like the Exploder and Smasher changes and the newly added healer husks. So again, this is something that I have to say. At no time, if you look at the game as when it began, the very first mission we have to do, the different kind of like variations and the different tutorials and the way they kind of show us the game, you'll see that trap tunnels were never really something that we were taught to do. I think trap tunnels was definitely something that players came up on their own, and it was fantastic. Trap tunnels, some trap tunnels were I have to say were outstandingly effective, but I do believe that this game was designed to be it was designed to be a defend a fort. We are defending our fort, and because we're defending our base like that, we're supposed to have a lot more open combat with assistance from traps. Now, what I mean by that is, take for example the tutorial mission. In the tutorial mission, you don't make a trap tunnel. You don't even really make a trap field. You make kind of a corridor where you are aided by some traps that are there. Now, that's the other part too. We need those traps. We need those turrets. We need turrets. We need lasers. We need guided missiles. We need traps that are going to encourage that kind of gameplay. We don't have them. But if that's what they're trying to guide us towards, you know what? I get it. And if the developers are like, you know what? We never really wanted trap tunnels to be a thing in the game. I get it. And I understand, personally for me, like I said, I never really enjoyed the trap tunnel concept. I do it because it's fun to do, and regardless, I kind of like doing mazes more than anything else, if you guys have watched. But I enjoy doing open fields with mazes. I love spamming floor launches. I love spamming floor launches because it's so much fun, especially when you have like Thora. It's so much fun to just have a field of floor launchers and spikes, and just watching enemies slow down, then get catapulted in the sky, and then fall down and get zapped and die. The new changes to propane tanks make that a little more difficult, and I have to say this: we need an effective way of being able to launch back propane tanks. We need a trap, or we need a weapon, or we need something that if we down a propane tank, we can smack it back, like really smack it back. Like for example, the bats. If you can take a bat and if you do a heavy attack on a propane tank, it should send it flying. Again, that will be very difficult to do in the heat of the moment, but if you can pull it off, then more power to you. And I really think that that's something that just making exploders and propane tanks so dangerous now is, it's kind of counterintuitive to what they're trying to do by helping us to change, they're trying to change the meta of the game. It just making exploders the trap destroyers, I don't think that's the way to do it. I really don't. I think there could be other more effective ways of doing it, but you know what, it's their game, not mine. Smashers, more smashing. True to their name, smashers were always intended to wreck structures. Before the change, smashers had an easily exploitable, long-standing bug with their AI that prevented them from recognizing certain edited structures as valid targets. The correction of that bug, along with the changes to launchers, reveals an underlying issue with husk scaling in Fortnite and Endurance. This left players without viable counterplay to smashers at high levels. We've released a hotfix to reduce the scaling of husks in Fortnite and the upper part of Twine Peaks. This will make smashers and exploders more manageable. Aside from the scaling adjustments, we're going to take a look at some underperforming weapons and traps to see where we can make adjustments. Thank you so much for all the constructive feedback. Since version 11.30 went live, your patience and participation has helped us a ton. We're looking forward to seeing how everyone feels about all these upcoming changes. Be on the lookout for more updates on meta in the future. Happy holidays. So this is kind of like the period, enter. This is the end of this paragraph for the information that we're getting. And we know now that because, well, we don't have a developer's roadmap, we know that the next 3 weeks or so, we're not really going to get much of anything from Epic Games. We know that we have content update 2, 1, 2, and 3 right now. So that's going to take us all the way to mid-January. And till then, we don't really have anything. Now, is it possible we're going to get a developer's roadmap that time? Yes, it is. Is it possible we'll get a Save the World roadmap? Yes, it is. It's possible. And I really hope they do, to kind of just give us a, hey, this is what we're working on in the future. Everything that they've said here, and this is where I have to kind of like, be honest with you guys about how I feel about the game. If you watch me play, you know that pretty much none of this really affects me much, apart from the fact that I am going to die a lot more. I'm going to fail a lot more missions. And I think that's in general for everyone, but especially for me, because the way that I play, I have heavily relied on my heroes. I have heavily relied on Pele Luna, on certain builds that I use to make myself very tanky and at the same time do a lot of damage. And my traps are pretty much just for slowing down the enemy, not for defeating them, unless we're like catapult, like launching them off a cliff or something. But for me personally, I'm not the kind of person who, I don't really solo this game. Now, I do know people are going to say, well, what about jail builds? And I want to talk about jail builds in the next video. I want to talk about jail builds in the next video. And I want to talk about this right here, this line right here. We're going to be taking a look at some underperforming weapons, pretty much all of them, and traps, pretty much all of them, to see where we can make adjustments. So this right here This, as well as jail builds, is going to be the topic of the theme of the next video. For this video, I kind of just want to give this introduction, to kind of like where my thought process is and what this is happening here. And like I said, with Smasher smashing more, with exploders, pretty much there's the only thing you can do to exploders now is maybe launch them back and hope that when you launch them back, they'll explode away from your base. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I can see it being sort of like a maybe a floor launcher kind of wall launcher thing where you're just kind of keeping everything back as long as you can. But eventually the exploders, if you have a wave of exploders, they're gonna take you out unless you kind of like, go all, Omega wall, you Nani and just go behind them. Unless you do that, I don't really see any way of effectively, taking out or redirecting the exploders. Smashers is another thing. For me personally, I love the tar pit trap. You guys know that. Positioning tar pit traps not one but two squares away in like a kind of like a perimeter around a base has been what I've done. So normally, and you guys may see it from my tar pit trap video long ago, the way that I do tar pit traps is that I put a tar pit trap and then I put behind it a floor launcher and then a slanted wall, so that if something is coming, the tar pit trap will stop it. Once they get past the tar pit trap, the floor launcher or the wall launcher will send them past behind it, and then they'll have to come back again. And as I said before, as long as you don't ignite the tar pit trap, a smasher will stop. A smasher will be stopped by it. Now, will you be able to take out the smasher once it's stopped? In certain missions you can. In certain missions they're too strong, but if Paley Luna setup, I'm still enjoying incredibly, especially with the new mythic weapons, melee weapons. It's a lot of fun, and I am able to take out a couple of them if you work as a team as well. And I know that for a lot of people, the whole point of the tar pit trap, the meta of tar pit traps, is because, and this is where I'm going to end this. And I guess this is like my biggest criticism to Epic and to Fortnite Save the World right now, is that they are changing this meta because people find ways to play very effectively. People can solo, duo, trio, mostly solo and duo, or solo very difficult missions through very effective and intelligent trap building and trap tunnels. And there are certain builds and certain trap tunnels that people have showed me that I'm like, how did you ever come up with this? This is brilliant to be able to do solo missions that should take 4 people putting down a bunch of traps and fighting very hard to be able to complete. And people have found ways of doing very effective, well, they used to have very effective trap tunnels that were able to complete this and effectively render invalid the whole point of Save the World, of playing in a group with friends and building traps and defending your fort, which is what Save the World is. Fortnite Save the World is. And this is where my criticism comes. Instead of, and the reason why people were doing this, the reason why people were playing solo, the reason why people were playing in small groups, or like I said, solo most of the time, is because, well, you can't really play with others well in this game. It takes a great deal of trust to build up that trust to play with someone else. And unfortunately, the amount of scamming and trading and people who are AFKing and taking advantage of other people who are playing is very, very high. And this is where I want to summarize all this that we see here, all of this. I get why you're doing it, Epic. I understand you want to change this meta that has been created. You want to bring it back to what you originally thought this game should be, which is a defend the fort system with multiple players working all together. But instead of addressing that, instead of addressing the duping, the AFKing, the the taking advantage of people farming, the trading, all of that. Instead of looking to fix that, instead of looking to develop the concept of this multiplayer, play with friends, play with others, beautiful concept of this game, you are trying to force people to not use effective methods that they've developed for playing solo, or playing with minimum interaction with others. And you're trying to force them to do something else when the other problem is still going to be there. And this is the thing, I guarantee you, people are going to find out builds. People are going to learn how to do very effective builds against all of these changes, and they're still going to be soloing. They're still going to be, doing minimum like that, and they're still going to be the rampant AFKing and duping and trading and all of that is going to that has brought a lot of the toxicity to this game. So I'm not, well, no, I am upset that they are changing the meta in this way, but I'm upset at it because they're not changing the things that I feel should be changed. And there should always be a way of doing something. Like, for example, if they change the tar pit trap, that you can no longer just drop one and it'll stop a rampaging husks, then what's the point of the tar pit trap? Now that we can't, I get it. Smashers are huge. They're heavy. You shouldn't be able to knock them back. I get that. I understand that. But there needs to be other things that we can do. There needs to be other things that we can employ that will draw their attention away, that we can somehow defend and not just have to sit back and watch our bases get destroyed and not be able to do anything about it, while lobbers and everything else just decimates us. So I kind of feel that's where I am right now after reading this. Yes, I understand they're changing other things. Yes, I understand that they may continue to modify the meta and how everything works. And like I said, I do want to talk about this next time, about the looking to change underperforming weapons and traps and make adjustments, as well as the jail builds. Like I said, that's going to be the next video what I want to talk about this particularly, because I really do think that this underperforming weapons and traps, it needs to be a huge thing that they need to focus on, because there are so many weapons and relatively a lot of traps in the game that do nothing. They do nothing. And I have always said this. I do firmly believe that in this game, you can effectively use practically any single weapon in the game if you dedicate a lot of resources to it, maxing it out, making a legendary perks, all of that. And on top of that, building a hero loadout specific for that one weapon. But it's not effective. It's not effective when you can get double or triple the damage or results with other weapons. So you can still make I believe you can make every single weapon in this game pretty powerful, but not as powerful as other weapons. And that's where it's kind of like, well, what's the point of using them? So I do hope that they adjust that. I do hope that they make things much more specific, and I'll be talking about that too, because I do have some ideas of how this should be changed as well. And like I said today, like I gave you guys today, I do always like to say, hey, I don't think this works, but I think it would be working this way. Or I don't want to just sit here and criticize a bunch of people who are much smarter than me in this, and I have no idea how to code a game. I have no idea how Save the World works and how much time and effort must go into it. So again, I have to say thank you to the developers for working on it. And I don't know if this is the developers who are doing this. I wonder if this is someone else telling them, hey, you need to do this because these other changes are coming to the future. So they have to adjust around them. Or maybe it is them. And if it is them, come on, guys. Like, come on. I mean, you play this game, you love this game, you know what people are doing, you know that what the meta is and why the meta is the way it is. Making changes like this is not the best way to adjust that meta. Listen to the people, listen to what they're asking, listen to what the community is saying about the game, and then adjust accordingly. You want to go ahead and change the meta, go right ahead, but do it because you want the game to improve, not just because not just because there's other changes that have to happen. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I've already talked way too much. my voice is not wanting to take it anymore. Like I said, in the next video, I do want to talk about this, underperforming weapons a lot. I do want to hear what you guys think about this, though. What do you guys think about the changes? I know that I am very, very late to talking about this. I know I've had tons of people asking me what I think about this, what I think about all these changes. And like I said before, for me personally, a lot of these don't really affect me as much as most people, because if you guys have seen, this is not how I play the game. I play the game very differently. I've never enjoyed trap tunnels, so this doesn't really affect me much. But like I said, I will talk about different builds that will affect me if they change them a certain way. But again, that's just the nature of the game. I mean, you can't make everyone happy, and you can't fix every single, possible, like meta shift that happens naturally. And if the developers want to try and control that so much, then they're gonna, kind of just, they're gonna squeeze the life out of the game. Because especially after you make a change like the hero loadouts, and you make a change that gives us the capacity to make incredible different, like so many different loadouts that are able to do so much in this game. I mean, look, people are soloing the Mythic Storm King. I remember seeing that 2-3 weeks ago when the first person did it. I remember hearing about it, and someone told me, and they were like, this is how they did it. And I'm like, I knew several people who were trying to do it, and they were all on the same track. They were all following the same kind of meta to do that. And I don't think that Epic ever thought that anyone was going to be able to solo it. I really don't think they thought that. But players find a way. Players find a way to do it, and guess what? Players are gonna find a way to keep trap tunnels. They're gonna find a way. I don't know how. I don't know how they're gonna do it. I don't know what they're gonna do. But they're gonna find a way. And if Epic is just trying to force this change onto players, I really do think they should look at the reason why players are doing it. Why are players forced to play in, solo or duos? Why are players forced to do trap tunnels? And try and figure out those reasons, and try and improve the game from that side. But anyway, I've talked way too much, like I said. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. As always, I am DUJ2. Thank you very much for supporting, guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you. I can't even begin to tell you guys how positive it's been. I know I said to stick around to the end for some announcements. Basically, announcements are I'm 50% better. I'm at about 50% right now, so I think I'm going to start streaming again. I'm going to be posting my schedule every single week. I'm going to try and stick to it as much as I possibly can. If I can't stick to it, I do apologize, guys, but I hate being away so long. It's been really, really bad. It's been thank you for all the support, guys. Thank you for all of the support. You guys are incredible. Thank you for using my creator code. You guys are incredible. #epic partner. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I really do appreciate you all, and let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. See ya.